I feel like it's every composer's dream to, once you write a composition, to actually have it premiered. And especially if it's something large that involves like a symphony orchestra and like a big cast like that.
I don't really think there's any amount of words that would describe what I was feeling once I heard Rain. There's not that much music out there that really hits home that way with me.
In addition to being a violin concerto, it's a bit of a performance art piece to me because the soloist walked out in this fantastic hoop skirt that apparently Ali designed with neon lights. And so it's, wow, the soloist, look at this. It's not only she's going to play, but look at her, fantastic, right? Then we start the piece, and what's the first thing that happens? The first violinist of the orchestra plays a solo. Instead of the orchestra playing or the soloist, it's the first violinist. It's either a statement or maybe a little bit of a joke in a sense.
When it comes to like the Rain Concerto, I think where it differs from a typical classical concert, it's like seeing a new release of something.
This concerto of Ali's has a lot of influence from the purely classical, like especially Mozart. But if you were trying to do a Mozart piece in the 21st century.
There were moments that were extremely dissonant. You almost felt like the orchestra was fighting with me, you know, in the way that the composition works.
It's always a contrast of two terminals or two things or two different potentials that creates energy or creates motion or creates something to happen.
Without Beethoven and Mozart, you wouldn't have Slayer and Metallica. You know, I think that that's where the origin of that music comes from. And unfortunately, I think it's something that isn't really like pushed on like the youth.
My favorite thing about the whole concert was the fact that we were doing this kind of concert music to a whole new audience.
We had just about every demographic there.
Punk rock kids to goth kids to my dad to you know, my family, and tattooed and non-tattooed people, and they were all there with like their jaws open, and that's when you know it's good, when it hits every demographic and everybody's blown away.
Most of the composers I know go through this period of being a student, learning, okay, this is how music is supposed to be done, or this style or that style. His approach was he just wanted to do it, so he went at it very intensely for years, studying it on his own. That's why it feels like it's unique. It's more truly from him rather than his creativity filtered through points of view of other people.
I had already been a fan of Ali's father's photography and paintings. It was quite refreshing getting to meet Ali for the first time. I was pretty just kind of blown away by how young Ali was, and you know, the body of works that he already had under his belt. And I'm a big fan of classical music to begin with, so it was just really cool to meet someone that was keeping it alive, I guess, for lack of a better description.
Him being a string player, he understands string writing, and that helps tremendously for a violin concerto.
It's an alternative classical experience.
Now that this piece exists, it's my dream that other orchestras and other conductors share it with new audiences around the world.
Walking out of the theater that night, I felt like taking on the world. I think that's probably the best gift a composer could give to the listener.